Okay, go ahead.
What's going on, guys? Back at it, the 7.3. Sorry I haven't posted a video in a while. I've been trying to diagnose and troubleshoot and figure out what was going on with my truck. Little backstory. I got the motor in, got everything hooked back up, wires, fluids, minus coolant, because I had an issue in the past before where I built a motor and put coolant in and found out that something was wrong inside the motor, so I had to pull everything back out. I had coolant everywhere, and so for me, I don't put the coolant in until the motor's running, idling fine, and I don't let it run for a long period of time. Just to make sure everything's fine, there's no leaks anywhere, and then I go ahead and throw the coolant in once I'm all said and done with the car. That's how I do it at work. That's how I do it here. With that saying, I was having issues with the truck not wanting to fire over. I bled out the system multiple times, made sure there was oil in the rails, make sure there's oil in the reservoir, and I was having issues with the reservoir level actually dropping. So I reached out to a buddy of mine and he said, hey, there's a check ball, you might want to check that out. So I'll show you that check ball. So this little check ball right here, I don't know if the camera will focus, has all these scores on the ball. This was the check ball that was in the motor from the F550 that I just left in. I had no idea about this. This is my first 7.3 and I'm still in learning process. So I changed that out with the one that was in my old motor. It was fine, there was no gouge marks, nothing like that. So put that in and it was holding the level up for overnight and was going good for there. The issue I was having was I wasn't getting oil up to the reservoir afterwards. I would put a couple water bottles, like I had a water bottle of oil, filled up the reservoir, fired it over, it would run, then it would die out, and I was just going back and forth with that. That was one issue I was having. The other issue I was having was my injectors weren't firing. And I found out that the Icp sensor that I had from my old block actually crapped out at the same time as the motor crapped out. So I ordered a new Icp sensor and IPR. I just got those in today, so I'm going to throw those in. Then the other thing was I had to figure out why I wasn't building any oil pressure up to the top. We filled up enough oil in the reservoir to actually start it and run it to see if I was building any oil pressure. My oil gauge did not move at all on my dash. So I contacted my buddy again and he asked me if I clocked the oil pump correctly. So basically, this is the oil pump right here. If you can see, there's a bunch of metal shavings in here, and I didn't have the motor running for very long. But this recess I had facing into the block, so it needed to be facing outwards. So what that caused is, I don't know if you can tell, but right here there's a lip from where the oil pump was actually gouging it out. So basically that lip, if I were to go and put the pump back in how it would, I would have oiling pressure issues where I'd probably not build any oil pressure as I was beforehand, or I would just have low oil pressure, and I really don't want that happening to my truck. So what I'm going to do is, I still have the old motor, the front timing cover is fine. I'll pull it off, clean it up, but in that process I'm going to have to remove the spider, remove the turbo, pedestal, the up pipes, and all the front accessories, and try to lower the pan without removing the motor from the truck, so that way I can do that. I will re-silicone it back up completely, but as far as that's where I'm at tonight. I'm gonna just go ahead, knock off all these accessories, that way in the morning me and my neighbor can get out here, lift up the block off the cross member, and hopefully I can get this pan off, because what it is I have to get the 2 bolts for the pickup tube that goes into the timing cover off. Good morning, guys. Just picking up from last night's video. Trying to take that timing cover off the front with my 7.3. So I'm not gonna really talk that much. I'm not gonna really do any time lapses right now, but I'll keep you guys updated on what's going on. So last night I got the water pump, the reservoir, the H-pop gear off. All the bolts are off, the cooler bolts are off. The only thing I have to do now is try to separate the pan, because I really don't want to have to pull this out of my truck, but separate the pan from the block so I can get to the pickup tube bolts so I can pop this cover off. But I'll let you know how that goes when I get to it. So stay tuned. Alrighty guys, sorry I've been really lagging on this video. I apologize for that. So basically this is what's going on. I got the motor up high enough to where I was able to take off the front, got about 8 bolts on the oil pan. I think there's like 10 bolts on there total, and then the last 2 bolts up against the transmission, all I did was basically loosen them up, and I was able to break down the, I think I just fucked up again. Fuck. Alrighty guys, sorry about that. I had a oh shit moment where I just realized something as I was speaking. But basically what I was trying to say was, we didn't have to pull the motor, thank God. I was able to basically get rid of the front portion of the bolts, first 5 on each side, because I believe there's 6 in total, and then the last 2 bolts up against the flywheel I was able just to loosen up, and then I was able to break loose the seal of the pan and also lift up the motor after the turbo had been off. So I pulled the turbo, removed the mount nuts, lifted the motor, and was able to get the pan down so I can get access to the pickup tube. The old shit moment that I had was, after we put everything together, I was thinking about it. I was like, crap, did I put the bolts back in? I forgot to put the bolts back in for the pickup tube, so we had to fucking just lift it up enough to where I can get my fingers in there, but I had the turbo on. Didn't want to have to pull the fucking turbo back off because it was a pain in the ass to put back on. But other than that, everything's back together. This is the old housing from the old 7.3 that blew up that I was able to get to. So the new one, if you were to look, there's that groove right there that I was talking about. That's what happens when you put your 7.3's low pressure oil pump in backwards. So you want to make sure that that's always facing the correct direction. And if we go in here and look, you can barely tell in there that it's recessed just a bit on that one lobe. It's kind of hard to see. Let's see if I had the old one. Yeah. So, like I said, that recess needs to be facing towards the crankshaft, not this side. So, we make sure when you put your motor back together, if you've separated the low pressure oil pump, make sure it goes back in the correct way. Learn from my mistakes. But that's that. But let me give you a quick update on what's going on with the motor. So basically I just have everything just slapped on. I'm actually right now charging the batteries for get the batteries charged up for tomorrow. But basically I upgraded the high pressure oil lines. I got these off of eBay, pretty substantial. I know the wire hold up on the hose rating for this. I'm running the same hose as these on my trailer that I've been building, and what it also came with was that crossover. On top of that, if you notice, I did the exhaust back pressure delete. I got that off of eBay as well. Not too big of a fan of having to go spend more money than I need. Fit perfectly. All I had to do was just adjust the back housing holes a little bit to open them up a bit. But other than that, I also put new up pipes in. It came with a new Y connector, so everything inside the turbo is still stock. But as soon as I get that put together, basically I had a hard time trying to get it to sit properly and align up. So I left the turbo completely unbolted from the pedestal and made sure that the up pipes and the Y connector were bolted properly to the turbo and tightened down. And then what I did was I pulled the turbo towards myself to sit on the pedestal and then put the bolts in. That's the easiest way I found it. And then the up pipe, or the down pipe for the exhaust out the tailpipe, that honestly just fell right into place. But so tomorrow plan is get the valve covers back on, or no, not the valve covers. I want to make sure that the injectors are still continuing to fire, because I did replace the ICP and the IPR, and I want to make sure that everything's running correctly, because my old ICP sensor crapped out. Helicopter, you gotta love them. So get the gear back on for the high pressure oil pump, get the reservoir back in, get everything bolted back up, put all the connections back together, reconnect the whole wire harness, and then try and start it up from there. What I am going to do is I'm going to help out the low pressure oil pump by filling up the reservoir in the timing cover, so that way it's not a complete dry start. I did make sure that my oil filter was filled up too, so that helps it out a little bit more. But this oil pump actually came off of the other motor, and it was in really good condition. I was getting excellent oil pressure. I was getting about anywhere from like 45 to 60, depending on how what the operating temperature was at idle, and then high 70s all the time while driving down the road. So I know that it's a good oil pressure oil pump. So just went ahead, cleaned it up a little bit, and put it in. But other than that, I'm not gonna put the front cover on until I know for sure this thing is running fine, because I don't want to have to fucking pull it back off for some stupid ass thing. But I've double and triple checked, and hopefully crossing my fingers, because I need my truck. It's coming down to the point where it was a joke. Hell yeah, my truck's down, but now I really need my truck. There's a lot of crap piling up in my backyard and on the side of my house that I need to fucking get rid of. Not only that, but I got shit at my shop that I have to fucking get rid of. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I didn't want to do any time lapses because I was really mixed emotions all day long. Mad, upset, pissed, irritated, you name it. I went through all of them. So hopefully tomorrow I got some good news and bitch fucking fires up and runs and continues to run and idle perfectly fine. It started with the oil pump being messed up, but it wasn't building any oil pressure to the reservoir, so that's how I knew that was acting up. So hopefully I get everything back together and we'll be good. So I'm gonna end it off here. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, find it somewhat interesting, share, like, comment, subscribe. By all means, this is just something I'm doing on the side. If you guys want to see more, like I said, I work for a smog shop in the lovely, beautiful state of California. So if you guys need any questions on how to get your smogs to pass, so you're not having to try and bootleg it around, have any questions on smog laws, let me know down in the comment section. Maybe I'll do a video of what basically we need to go over on smogs, so that way you can pass 100% all the time legally, not under the table, But if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know. I'll probably make another video on it. But other than that, I'm gonna end it off here. It's late at night. It's probably about 11:30. So I've been working on this all day. I'm butt tired. So let that end it off here. Catch you guys on the next one.